Welcome to Screen Junkie Central from San Diego. It's time for Movie Fights. Brought to you by the new Samsung Chromebook Plus, the first Chromebook made for Google Play. And now, here's your host, Andy Signore.
Oh my God, hello from San Diego. We're here at Screen Junkie Central. Oh man, I'm so excited. We have an amazing fight for you right now. I don't want to do it without further ado. How great. We have two amazing fighters, Dan. What are you thinking here?
I did have a thought.
What?
Well, you know, Kevin's great.
Yes.
Elijah's great.
Yes.
I fought both of them.
Yeah, they beat you.
They beat me. I'm on a revenge tour this year.
You want to take them on?
You let me take these two on?
What do you guys think? It's their show. It's their show. All right, let's see.
do it.
Let's see who. Now you're fighting. I'm gonna need a fact checker. Do I have a fact checker? Oh, Alicia Malone.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, how convenient.
I was just walking around with my Samsung Chromebook, just hoping to have a chance to fact check.
Perfect timing, Alicia. Would you mind
Thank
fact
you.
checking?
Sure thing. Hopefully I
man.
can keep up with these guys.
Guys, this is insane. I've been dreaming for this fight ever since they both came on. Let's do it. First up, filmmaker, legend, mentor. I mean, he's so many things to me. Such a wonderful filmmaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Smith! How cool! Oh, Kevin, you're going up. What a wonderful fellow this guy is. Amazing actor, such amazing film lover, such a wonderful guy. You know him, actor, wonderful person, Elijah Wood! Oh, yes! Thank you for coming. Having me some fun. Oh, man. Guys, this is going to be a fight, am I right? Oh, all right, let's do this. Guys, now you've both been on, you know how the show works, and I'm such a fan of you because you both love movies. I know you know how this game works, you take it seriously, you love your movies, and we have some epic movies that we're gonna be revealing throughout this fight, so stay tuned. Are you guys ready?
I'm so ready, yes.
Oh man, I'm so ready. I just want to say, and I want to thank our sponsor Samsung and their new Chromebook Plus, the first Chromebook made for Google Play. Thank you, Samsung, for helping. These are so nice looking. You guys know how this works. Let's do it.
Hear the music.
What a lovely day! Are you not entertained?
Let them fight.
Oh, man! Fight time! Yes! All right, we have some really, really tough fights here. Let's do this. Question 1. Who's the greatest living filmmaker?
Kevin Smith!
It was
Dan.
so hard not to write Kevin Smith.
Dan, let's just go down the line. What are you picking?
I chose Mr. Martin Scorsese.
Elijah, what are you picking?
Steven Spielberg.
Excellent choice.
Kevin Smith?
This is where things could get a little controversial, Andy. I chose Marvel mastermind Kevin Feige. I made you think. Yes, that's what I chose.
Why don't you start there, Kevin? You can start the fight.
Want me to begin?
Yeah.
Well, it depends how one defines the question. What is it technically? Who's the greatest living filmmaker? Filmmaker isn't just the director, and let's be honest, in most cases, it's never just the director. Usually there's a different screenwriter. In the world of comic book storytelling, it's the people that do some of the heaviest lifting don't even go to set and meet the actors, man. They do zeros and ones on laptops and stuff to create a moving effect. So I'm not taking anything away from from every single filmmaker of each Marvel film. They each have an individual style, and clearly the director and writers behind each have a voice and done a phenomenal job. I've overpaid to see them many, many times. But Kevin Feige is the guy that captains the ship. Kevin Feige, even though he's not going action and cut, has plotted how many phases of movies, and not just movies, and that'll be my argument. What is a filmmaker if not somebody who self-expresses in a way that changes you, and you're watching the experience, and it can be fictional, doesn't have to be. This is a guy who makes movies, and he may not be the guy going action cut, but he is the person plotting all these. He makes movies that me, at age 46, and I'm gonna be 47 next week, as an over middle-aged man, thank you, with less time in front of me than behind me and stuff, and as somebody who works in the sausage factory and knows how the sausage is made, even though they make good sausage and I make fucking McDonald's sausage and shit. Even though I can have that perspective, I could still walk into a Marvel movie and absolutely be transported. And even better than that, they make me feel like I did when I went to see Star Wars when I was a kid, or Raiders of the Lost Ark. They dial my clock back. And anybody who can tell me a story and make me feel young, I'll pay you real money if you can give me the Fountain of Youth. You can't, but this guy can with his storytelling. And even though he's not the one going like, I'm gonna touch this key, I'm gonna print up the script myself, he's telling the stories. He's mapping it out. In many ways, kind of the largest filmmaker working right now.
Elijah, let's get in this. Compare.
Oh, but is that filmmaking? Ah, man. It's a machine, too. It is filmmaking.
Yes.
I agree. Certainly the people behind the scenes are as much a part of that process. And it isn't just the director. You're absolutely right. And it's everyone along the way. I see the machinery in Marvel, though, man. I feel like I see a production line and I see release dates. I don't see fully cooked ideas or fully cooking ideas before they go to the screen.
Totally, not like those Rings movies or anything.
But see, are you talking about the Hobbit films? Are you talking about the Hobbit films?
No, the Rings movies, the ones about the little horror girl and shit like that.
Right.
What were you thinking?
Anyway, to not necessarily debate that. So Steven Spielberg, right? Look, this was a really difficult question. Who's the greatest living filmmaker? There's so many different ways that you can slice this pie. Initially, I went to modern filmmakers. Someone like Paul Thomas Anderson came to my head. But like who? If you're thinking about people who are still alive and still relevant, Steven Spielberg. Well, hey, buddy. But Steven Spielberg, from our youth.
What do you mean our? You're like 12,
dude,
man.
I'm 36. But like someone who has influenced the way that we see modern cinema.
Yes.
There's no question that Steven Spielberg has done that. The notion of a modern blockbuster was sort of established because of Jaws. He's also cross genres. He's made so many films that are indelible in cinema and has broken ground. And even now, like, you may not love every single film that he does, but there's craftsmanship there, and he's still relevant. He's still pushing himself as a filmmaker, and I honestly can't think of anybody more deserving of that title.
All right, Dan. Yeah. Let's hear your take, quick. Scorsese, and we'll start this fight.
I mean, you know me, I'm a Spielberg guy. I love Spielberg. I love the Marvel movies. But when I think about the greatest living filmmaker, when I think of the word filmmaker, I think of Martin Scorsese, because Martin Scorsese's like he's got his eye behind the camera. He's sitting there. He is cutting the frames, and he's sitting there in the dark room. And
he's not.
He absolutely
He
is.
has an editor, isn't it? Thelma Schumacher,
But
who's
he's
actually
there.
cutting the frames and
He's
stuff.
there, though.
He
He's
pops in for
picking
coffee.
the
He's like, that looks good.
He's
when they're
helping
cutting
pick
on
the songs.
But no, what he means is when they're in the editing room cutting on the Avid, he's actually just back there with old reels of film, just to make it feel like the old days.
I'm saying he's.
Am I helping? They're like, that's great, Marty.
I'm
Keep
saying
doing
he's a
that.
hands-on filmmaker. I'm saying he's a hands-on filmmaker. But what the greatest living filmmaker is that this guy's been in the game for almost 50 years, and he's still doing stuff like go look at what he did with Hugo. Like here's great. Oh, Grandpa's got the 3D machine. He doesn't know how to use that thing. That thing was amazing. It was brilliant. It was an Oscar-nominated film. He's able to make.
Incidentally, that was the title in Italy. Grandpa has the 3D
Grandpa has
machine.
the 3D machine. I look at a director of his age making a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, which is still as vibrant as the movies he made 40 years ago. The guy lives and breathes film, not to mention the fact that he's a movie encyclopedia. You can ask him any movie. You can ask him about the silent film from F.W. Murnau in 1912, and he'll tell you the filmography. Like, the guy lives and breathes film, and every movie, it's not just one that he produced or one that he directed off of, some great, like a great book. Like, Spielberg is great at taking big ideas and making them big on screen. Like, this guy just, like, he puts his heart and soul into every single movie. He's been put in the hospital over doing movies, and he's been great for almost 50 years, and he's still going to be great. I think that's why he's the greatest living filmmaker.
Woo!
All right, now why is yours the best? One more last round. This is the fight now. Why is Feige better than Spielberg or Scorsese? This is really the battle here.
I can't say that Feige is better than a Spielberg or Scorsese when you put them up, two directors against a guy who's a producer. But when we talk about filmmakers,
Okay, so you're doing
then
that.
they can stand shoulder to shoulder. Again, you're talking about somebody. Martin Scorsese has had how many years? 50 years
Coming
to
about
become
this is
a
early
master.
70s, yeah.
And some stuff, along the way, wasn't necessarily that masterful and stuff. You learn your craft as you're going along. But he's had 50 years to do it.
How dare you say that about 7 years in Tibet, sir?
I didn't even mention names. And Steven Spielberg, a filmmaker, of course I do love, and I totally agree with the argument or point that this is a guy that created the modern day blockbuster. He a wonderful storyteller, fantastic, and I would make the argument that they are two of the greatest directors on the planet.
Yeah.
But a filmmaker goes beyond just the person who is like, I think it would be cool if we did this. Or the person who's like, hey, I read a great script and I think I can bring something to it. I think I can elevate, if at the very least execute or something. You're talking about somebody who in a short period of time, my guy, Kevin Feige, has been plotting an entire run of movies just on the back of one. It starts very quietly with Iron Man, and a gamble begins there where if this works, we can keep going. There are multiple phases, and they're planning this thing a decade. They've been doing it 10 years. How many Marvel movies have been made so far in 10 years?
A lot.
There you go. And I know Martin Scorsese has made a lot of movies, and I'm not saying quantity over quality, but for me, in terms of a filmmaker and figuring out what an audience wants to watch and enjoy and interact with, something I clearly can't do in my own career, I still think that this is good. Don't worry, don't cry for me, Argentina. I still think that this is a person that, to me, again, I'm going by the question, which was filmmaker, somebody who has to put together an entire film. I'm a director, and I know what I'm responsible for.
Why is that better, though, than these two? Quickly.
Why is it better?
You've sold me on him,
based
but-
on what you said, based on filmmaker, that's a
Broader term.
Broader term, and a filmmaker can get a movie made. A director can't always get a movie made, and sometimes when a director makes a film, he can't even get it done correctly. But a filmmaker can. A filmmaker's job is from beginning to end to make sure there's a movie.
So I make sure I understand further, because you guys are going to help me vote here. You're talking because he's building this broader universe. There's a bigger sort of piece than these one-at-a-time stories. Is that what I'm gathering from you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's filmmaker or filmmaking is
Got it.
storytelling. That's a lot of story to tell.
Okay, Elijah, why do you feel like that's fair of Feige to put him next to Spielberg and or Scorsese?
Man, I love the fact that you've broadened the argument. I really genuinely love it. And
I just wanted to bring the argument. I know I'm going to lose.
You're so right. You're so right. But I would argue that both Spielberg and Scorsese are filmmakers underneath that same banner, in the sense that they're not simply directors. Both of them are ideas people. They fully develop with a variety of creative teams. Very hands-on in the construction and the cooking of those films. So complete and total filmmakers, certainly not directors for hire. At this point, it's a personal opinion that I feel that under this particular banner that Steven Spielberg is the greatest living filmmaker. But I love your argument.
Better than Scorsese? Give me one.
Oh, better than Scorsese.
Yeah, let's
right.
if we just ignore Kevin for a second, no offense.
Yeah, totally.
Because I just want to get one last thought for
In terms of leaving a mark on cinema, I would argue that he absolutely has made a much larger mark on cinema. Now, better, larger,
okay.
more significant, and
Depends
one.
who you ask. Some people just like the right size, and
And this is
we've
the
been
matter of
married a
opinion,
long
eh?
time, so I know she's telling
All right,
the
and-
truth.
Dan, what do you think against these two?
I think that Kevin Feige recruits great filmmakers. I think that he actually learned with Age of Ultron that when he's too hands-on in his capacity as a producer, sometimes he can lose the ball, because I think that Joss Whedon's kind of said that Kevin Feige went to him and said, you're putting the Thor stuff in Age of Ultron. And that was when people said, like, I'm not so sure about that. You're kind of losing the ball. And it's from that point on that he said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to get these great filmmakers like Ryan Coogler and Taika Waititi to do my future movies. And I'm going to be the guy that kind of lets them do their thing and keeps an eye on the overall picture.
It's awesome.
So I think that he's great at finding great filmmakers to go and make films for him and for the brand. I think that Spielberg, look, Jaws is my favorite movie. I love Spielberg. I just think if you look at recent, I think that the last 10, 15 years, Spielberg has kind of, I don't know if he's innovated a lot. I think that he puts out a new Spielberg movie, but I thought...
Did you see the trailer for Ready Player One?
I saw that, and when Ready Player One comes out, I may rescind this statement, but up to this point today...
It's like Dad went away for a few years and came back. It was like,
Right.
Zip, look at my huge dick. And everybody in Hall H was like, we remember.
But people have to remember, I think BFG was just like, what? I'm Steven Spielberg. It's whimsy. Just be enchanted. And I feel like Scorsese is continuing to innovate and learn and grow as a filmmaker. He's adapting and he's evolving, and I think that's what makes a great filmmaker.
All right, wow. Good first start. All right, you guys, Alicia's gonna check, but you guys have cards. You're gonna help me vote. One of them's, you're gonna lift your hand for one, you're gonna do blue for the other, you're gonna do white for the other. Alicia, while they get their cards ready, anything to add?
It was a clean fight. Well fought, you guys. I love seeing Dan try and fight against Spielberg, because I know how much he loves Spielberg.
Second time in like a week.
I know. But just some little facts to add. It is actually Martin Scorsese's 50th year this year of directing. His first movie was in 1967, edited by Thelma Shoemaker, who he's worked with consistently and has been a great collaborator. And Marvel, Spider-Man Homecoming is the 16th film for Marvel. That's so many now.
In 10 years, right? It's only a decade that we're doing it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The vote. Here we go. You're gonna do blue for Dan, white for Kevin, or hand in your air for Elijah. Understand?
It's very high tech.
Blue, lift them up. Blue for Dan, white for Kevin, or hand for Elijah. I see a lot of hands. All right, just to verify.
White
All
and
right, it's white and hands. So it's between. There's
Yeah,
white.
it's so hard to tell.
What did I say? White. It's between these two. Okay. It wasn't a lot of blues. All right, put the hands down. Sorry, did it help me? Blue for Kevin, white for Elijah.
Wait, that's confusing because last time I was white, so it should continue
Oh, it
to
wasn't.
be white.
Elijah gets the point!
Yay!
Harder with three, but that was definitely, there were a lot of hands.
I know this is
Easy,
really...
it's just round one,
Oh,
guys.
it starts.
Easy.
It starts.
You don't need
Hashtag
the
6
booze
words.
just yet. We're gonna build our
Elijah gets the
allegiances
first
and really
point.
fucking go for it at the end.
Hey, you said you were gonna lose. Never say that on movie fights.
I hate
Confidence.
to express a sentiment that seems largely in vogue and tired, but I think this election was rigged.
All right, round two. What is the best comic, what comic book movie of all time will be most celebrated in 50 years? It's gotta be a movie that's out today that we know, that we think 50 years from now will be the most celebrated, and we're going this time to to Elijah first. Oh, they're giving you suggestions.
Wow.
The Dark Knight. The reason I chose this is I think that it's a movie that is beloved regardless of whether or not you're a fan of comic books. I think it works both as an incredible comic book film and as a great piece of cinema. Not to say that those things have to be separated, because they are inherently not within the context of a movie, but you don't have to have a pre-existing knowledge of Batman or love of Batman, I think, to love that movie. And I think that's why it will stand the test of time. I think, you know, there was a sort of thing that happened with that film after it was released where there were a lot of films that felt like they needed to follow the same path that Nolan did, which is a sort of dark nihilism that kind of permeated comic book movies a little bit after that, and that was a bit of a bummer because I don't think that they were inherent within the storytelling of those other films that followed suit. However, that particular movie, it was the best version of the Joker I've ever seen, unquestionably. It worked as a detective film in a way that sort of is a recall to Batman of old in the comic books. Certainly, the heist scene at the opening is one of the greatest fucking openings of a film in the last 20 years. I just think it's going to be remembered. Look, there are so many incredible movies being made in the comic book genre, certainly with Marvel, and DC's given it a good try. But they... Well, I haven't seen Wonder Woman, so in fairness.
It's great.
Whoa, I know.
It is.
Guys,
It's really
I'm
great.
working...
Being positive, he likes one of them.
I really want to see it. But I just think this is a movie that will be remembered, again, regardless of this period of time that we're in, which is so heavy and beautifully saturated with a lot of great offerings in regards to comic book films. I just think that movie will stand out.
Dan, what are you picking?
It's the newest, but this is my choice. I did pick Wonder Woman. I think that even though this is the movie of our time, so it's hard to say what the legacy of a movie is going to be, especially one that's just out. But I think if you look at it, first and foremost, it is a hell of a good movie. I mean, I think it is up there with, as far as like expressing to an audience what a superhero is about and who they are, not as a hero, but like as a person. I think it's up there with the Iron Man and the Chris Reeve Superman, as far as like, this is the hero that you read in the comic books, and this is what they're about, and people are like, yes, I like that. So I think it's a hell of a great movie. Secondly, I think it's got a legacy of, when you look at what Patty Jenkins did with that movie and the fact that, like Elijah said, going into it, people's like, oh, well, I don't know about these DC things. The fact that if DC goes forward, and I hope that they do, and succeeds and does tremendously as well as Marvel does, I think people are going to look at Wonder Woman as the moment that it changed. And then secondly, just from the records that it set from a female director, a blockbuster this big doing that kind of business from a female director, that's a wall that some people said couldn't be broken. So I feel like even if there are other Wonder Woman movies, and even if the greater context of the superhero environment that we're in now is lost in the decades to come, I think that barrier being broken, and that group of creators, Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins and everybody involved with that movie coming together and saying, you're wrong, I think people are still going to remember that in the decades to come. So that's why I picked Wonder Woman.
Kevin, what are you picking?
I go Guardians of the Galaxy, ladies and gentlemen. Here is my rationale behind that. I'm a huge Batman fan. Naturally, I wanted to pick Dark Knight, but I thought about it an awful lot. What is the exact question again?
What comic book movie of our time will be most celebrated in 50 years?
And that was where I stumbled, on the in 50 years part. And I thought about all the comic book movies that I've seen over the course of, say, the last 10 years or even my lifetime. And the one that feels the most like a movie that ages well is Guardians. It reminds me of Wizard of Oz. If you would have seen Wizard of Oz for the first time in the 50s and stuff, and you watched it 50 years later as like an old person, you'd probably have the same feeling of wonder. There's a sense of timelessness to it in terms of like Oz is like no place you've ever seen. Just like the space, the galaxy that the Guardians take us to, or James Gunn and Kevin Feige take us to, was a place of wonder that you'd never seen before. What should a movie do? It should transport you. You should escape from where you are in the real world. It should make you think. It should make you feel. You should be able to walk out of there with useful information for your daily life. That's what storytelling comes down to. We all started telling each other stories, to help each other not die. Like, don't eat that, you'll die. Here's a story about Herb that did it, and shit like that. So the storytelling that we see on display here is, to me, like truly what movies are supposed to be. And I'm a guy that's supposed to make movies for a living, but when I sit down and watch The Guardians, I'm like, I am transported. Oh my God, we're in a world with talking trees and talking raccoons and stuff. And in terms of like strong role models, I love Wonder Woman to death, but Gamora is also a really strong role model with a way deeper, more interesting background. And in terms of like the relationship, the heart of that movie, that's what's going to go a long way. I love The Dark Knight and I love Wonder Woman and stuff, but I don't think of those movies as having sick, gooey, beating hearts that will thunder throughout time. I'm not saying they're movies of their moment, but when you think about Guardians of the Galaxy and his dying, spoilers, they open the movie with his dying mom saying, "Peter, take my hand." And then they pay that off, as he's holding the Infinity Stone, and Gamora says, "Peter, take my hand." And he sees his mom again. That's the kind of shit that I don't care how old you are and what decade you're in, it will go right to your heart, man. So I'm picking Guardians of the Galaxy. It'll age insanely well.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, the fans like all three of these. All right. As we close your next rounds here, tell me why yours is going to be most remembered. celebrated in 50 years.
Well, I'm with Kevin. It was the in 50 years part that hung me up, and that's another thing that led me to Wonder Woman was I think that for it to be celebrated in 50 years, I think it has to be a timeless movie, and there's certain elements to it being timeless. The Dark Knight is a great movie, but I feel like even now, 10 years later, there are some things, the surveillance angle that were very timely now that now kind of stick out like a sore thumb. I think in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a lot of great comedic parts, but I think there are also some pop culture references in that movie that in 50 years aren't going to mean as much as they do to us now, and I think that's going to lose some of its value over time. I think that Wonder Woman is a timeless story. It's already set in for us the distant past, and I think the themes of that movie, as far as finding who you are in the world and the nature of humanity and where does evil come from, those are timeless themes. I think they're going to be as relevant in 50 years as they are today, and that's what led me to Wonder Woman. It's not so much that these movies aren't great, it's that I think that there are themes and there are things in Wonder Woman beyond what it did culturally that will resonate still in 50 years.
Elijah?
Oh, man. This is hard, you guys. Well, I think that as far as timelessness is concerned, there are plenty of movies that are 50 years old that are not relevant technologically to our world now, that are timeless in regards to the characters that are inherent within the context of the film. So, that argument against Dark Knight doesn't hold that much water for me. To me, I think it's a great. Ultimately, the center of that story is a man that's kind of in crisis based on his past and the trauma of his past, and ultimately becoming the hero that Gotham needs him to be, and kind of failing at that, and coming up against ultimate chaos. It's something that we can relate to. They're human characters at play in a pretty massive way in this city, and I think they're tortured characters that we love and can kind of relate to and understand. And I think, I don't know, man, the filmmaking in that. The other thing that I wanted to mention earlier about it is that it's not a movie that, for better or worse, and I think ultimately for better, it does not rely on the fact that it's a comic book film. It presents itself as a movie. And again, I'm not saying that. I know. I'm not
just reading the question, going like, he didn't fucking read the question.
But wait, no, I don't.
It better be a comic book movie.
No, it is a comic book film. But I don't want to. I don't want to disparage the notion of a comic book film. That's not what I'm saying.
Totally.
It's the idea of making something. If let's say you're not a fan of something and you make it based on pure reasons because you've discovered the source material, not because of your reverence to the source material. I think greatness comes out of that. And I don't know that Nolan was a comic book nerd. I think he approached it from a different standpoint, and it didn't have the. There's a level of a lack of preciousness of comic books, and just simply approaching it from a character standpoint that I thought made a more interesting film.
Kevin, wrapping up your thoughts.
I feel like
here.
I'm a little in shaky ground here.
No. I think it's valid. Here's my argument. I'm not going to disavow these two movies. I love them dearly and stuff. But these two movies are stories about singular journeys. I like Guardians of the Galaxy because it's a team. It's finding out strength in numbers. It's finding out we can't do this alone. It's a personal philosophy of mine. We're all in this together, for heaven's sakes. Why not lean on one another? Often we isolate, quite like the Dark Knight. Do things by ourselves, and we see how it works out for him and stuff. The notion of leaning on others, of coming together, and yes, there's a band of merrymakers who help Wonder Woman ultimately achieve her goal, but her goal, I enjoy that movie, but I don't know in 50 years if the third act of that movie is going to play as well, with people going, why is it so dark? Who's fighting? And shit like that. Like, the ending goes pretty Zack Snyder there. And in terms of the Dark Knight, I honestly feel like, Batman as a character of popular culture is always a product of his era. Yeah. And while people respect previous iterations, they kind of live and die right there. Think about it. Like most people talk about today, the late great Adam West's performance is like, oh, that's Batman 66 when things were campy. But for kids who grew up watching that, there's nothing campy about it. That was biblical truth and stuff. So, Batman as a character ages incredibly well, but those particular iterations I don't know if they will. I don't know. I'm not saying like, oh, they'll never be able to understand them back then, but they're not quite as timeless as a movie that's like, hey, let's leave the planet altogether to a place that will always be timeless unless we finally go live in space and we start finding these fucking raccoons that talk and shit like that. Again, I'll argue that it's a movie, and a movie should take you to a place you've never seen. I've seen Gotham, and unfortunately in the history books, I've seen World War I. But, I've never seen Nowhere, this giant titan's head, which is mined from the inside by people who are living off the scraps of something much larger than themselves.
All right. You each got your time. All right, we're going to try this again.
Yeah, that was tough.
All the other ways to make it. Oh, Alicia, yeah, anything to add here?
I'm so glad that I'm not fighting this.
This is
You
tough.
guys are amazing. But just some little facts. So Rotten Tomatoes, if you go by that score, Guardians of the Galaxy 91%, Wonder Woman 92%, Dark Knight 94%. And with Academy
all
Awards...
within like 1
Yeah, it's all
percentage point,
really
too.
close.
Yeah, that's close.
And
Those
Academy
are good
Awards...
polls, man. Those are really good polls.
Yeah, obviously it's too early to tell whether Wonder Woman will be nominated, but Guardians had 2 Oscar nominations for makeup, hairstyling, visual effects. Dark Knight 8 Oscar nominations, and of course it won 2, sound editing, and Heath Ledger, rest in peace.
Yes, Heath Ledger.
All right, I'm going back around. We're switching the colors up. Blue is for Elijah. White will be for Kevin. And your hand will be for Dan.
Ew, that sounds so dirty.
Blue for Elijah. Oh, man, that's white.
Wow.
That is white. Kevin gets it! I agree with that one. I thought you did a really good argument there at the end.
Of
Closer
course
helped you.
Kevin gets it. Kevin is woke!
All right, round 3.
What was
Scariest movie scene of all time. All right, you got to scare us. Dan, we'll start with you. What is the scariest scene of all time? I think we hopefully have visual aids. We tried, but
Do we have visual aids? I don't
have
know.
Max all. You do.
This is the one that when I saw it, it probably is. There's nothing supernatural about it. There's nothing boogeyman jumping out of the closet about it. It's the shower scene from Psycho because I remember I watched that movie for the first time. I was visiting my grandmother's house. It was on late at night on late night cable TV. And this was like, this wasn't like in 1975. This is like, I don't know, in the 90s. But I remember seeing it, and I saw that scene, and I knew about the shower scene in Psycho, but I'd never seen it in context. It was like kind of like you'd seen parodies of it. When you see it in the context of that movie, what makes it so scary is that there's still days where I get in the shower, and I'm kind of like that. For me, that is what is scary. It's not, is Freddy Krueger going to come get me in my dreams? Am I going to be taking a shower and then some nutbag is going to stab me to death? Because that could happen. In a wig, in a dress, that's even crazier. Plus those eyes, when they pull the thing back and Anthony Perkins wasn't there, did you see those eyes staring at? That is freaky, man.
Yeah.
That is freaky. So I went with the one that legitimately scared me, that still creeps me out to this day. It's held up for over 50 years for that exact reason.
Do we have it, Max? Go ahead. Wow, all right.
awesome.
That's creepy. All right, back to you, Elijah. What are you picking?
This was really difficult, as all these fucking questions have been. This is a
We
really
picked hard ones
hard
for you.
movie.
You guys are legit.
My
We brought
You know
God.
it's difficult fighting you with those beautiful eyes, man. Every time you start talking, I'm like, I like what you're saying.
Sucked right in.
This was difficult. I basically picked almost an opening scene. There's a movie called Begotten by a filmmaker called Elias Marriage.
Wow.
I went. The story behind this is I was at
Now
a.
you're gonna lose.
I might. But
But
fuck
fight
it.
the good fight,
Fuck
kid.
it. Let these people decide.
We'll see.
So I was at a video store and I saw this film on an end cap at I was a Virgin Megastore back when they still existed
Oh, you're
yeah,
winning
a
me,
little-
man.
little
Like,
tear.
yeah.
So my sister and I saw this thing Begotten, and it had this black and white cover, this very disturbing sort of like ultra grainy imagery that was clearly a still from the film. And I was like, what the hell is this? And it was from the filmmaker of Shadow of the Vampire. So my curiosity was piqued, and I brought it home. We started watching this movie. We got 20 minutes into it, and I couldn't finish it. I've never been able to get this imagery out of my head. I can essentially describe the scene as a very... it's black and white, super saturated, quite difficult to tell what's actually happening. There's a man sitting in a chair, man, woman, not sure, stabbing itself, and it's really fucked up. It's like a snuff film, and yeah, it's the stuff of nightmares.
Are you sure he's stabbing himself? Oh, we have a clip.
Well,
See it?
What is it called? Begotten?
All right, Kevin, your turn.
That's tough to follow. I'm going to go with something that is probably, most people are going to be like, oh, it's so on the nose. It is the closing scene from Rob Reiner's movie North. Thank you. I had two jokes prepared. That was one, which really worked over here. Here's the second joke, take two. The scariest horror movie scene in any movie I've ever seen, is that the question?
Yes.
Has to be the closing moments of Jersey Girl. No, that's not my joke either. Okay, here's my choice, ladies and gentlemen, the real choice. A moment in a movie that terrified me, still terrifies me to this day. It affects me everywhere I go. Jaws was a movie that scared me when I was a kid, so you'd think, oh, I love Jaws, go for Jaws. But I don't have to go into the ocean every day. And in fact, I haven't since I saw Jaws. But what I do have to do is walk around. And whenever I walk around anywhere and turn a corner of a hallway, I will never not think of Danny on his big wheel, going through the hallways in the Overlook Hotel, turning a corner and finding those two little Grady girls.
Let's cue it.
Hello, Danny. Come and play with us.
Oh, I'm pissing right now.
Come and play with us, Danny.
Oh, come on!
And ever.
Oh! All right, three good choices. Fight it out, fellas.
I don't know what Elijah's was. It didn't scare me exactly. I don't know what. It was very strange.
Kind of turned me on, to be honest with you.
Very bizarre. The Shining, I admire that film. I think that is like a piece of like impressionist art. So I see that and I admire the craft that went into that, and that is certainly a creepy image. But like that didn't scare me in the sense of like I think that's gonna happen to me, and that's what scares me the most. It's not like, oh wow, that's creepy. It's like I think that like someone could be sneaking into my bathroom, and the reason I think that's even scarier is like everybody can relate to that. Everybody can put yourself in that shoes of like.
Everybody wants to sneak into your bathroom?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, everybody gets in the shower. Everybody has that moment when they're home alone. You have to get in the shower, and you're like, "Is there someone in the house with me? Can somebody sneak in here and kill me?" That's what makes that scare so amazing. It's like, who hasn't seen that and hasn't been like, "Damn, that could happen to me." That freaks me out, and that's what freaks me out about
Do you just
Psycho.
have people trying to get in your shower all the time?
You'd be surprised. Dan,
let me in. Do you have Prel?
I admire the Kubrick thing. I think it's a great piece of art. That doesn't scare me like Psycho scares me. Psycho, that is primal fear. That is a stranger is going to come into your house and kill you. And that is like the scariest thing in the world to me.
Elijah.
Man, how to defend something that not many people have seen.
They just saw it.
Yes, they did, yeah.
I did it all last year with Yoga Hosers. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Well, my definition of being afraid is slightly different. I think it's about imagery that sticks in my head and kind of haunts me later. Movies don't viscerally scare me. Even when I was a kid, I didn't see a film and sort of have it jump and get that same feeling. It takes a lot to scare me in a movie, but the idea of a piece of imagery that is difficult to kind of make out what it is, but it feels so sinister and can kind of live in your psyche and in your nightmares for a very long time. That particular piece of footage that y'all saw does that to me. And I can't explain what it is, why it is. It's probably more disturbing than it is scary. I realize I'm slightly stretching the definition. But it freaks me out enough that I had to turn the DVD off and I couldn't finish watching the movie. So that's
Learning
it.
a lot about these guys today. Kevin, your turn.
Which is this? Is this me disavowing others?
Yeah, give me your fight. Your closing marks here. Why is yours scarier than theirs?
Knock
'em down.
Elijah's spank video didn't scare me as as much as intrigued me. I was like, I want to watch more of that. Like, what's the context of that scene? In terms of the shower, I'm not nearly as afraid in the bathroom as you are.
Terrified.
To me, if we go down the psychological rabbit hole, it's just like, I just don't want people to see my little dick. And I get that because I have no dick whatsoever, but I know that I can lock the bathroom door, Dan. They put locks on the bathroom door. You live in terror while you shower. You're like, someone's coming at any moment. Anyone but me. You're supposed to be the only one coming in the shower, man. So I feel like that fear, while you're right, we all, shower. I would argue some people don't shower, some people bathe. They're afraid of showers, and not because of Psycho, just because they don't know how to handle water.
Why would you be
coming at their
afraid of
face.
shower if it wasn't for Psycho? What other reason would you be afraid of a
Because
shower?
you're a 4-year-old that's like, I don't understand how it works, like I was. So you bathe until you're 30. So not everyone necessarily takes a shower, but you can lock a bathroom door. However, there are hallways everywhere in life. You can't not turn a corner, man. There are no escaping. If you're walking someplace and leaving a room, you run the chance of running into a ghost. That's what terrifies me. I won't get stabbed to death in the shower. The likelihood of that happening, nil and none and shit. So I don't really get scared. If it
getting
happened,
a ghost
I'd be
in
like
the hallway,
surprised.
it is. Okay.
But a ghost in a hallway, that could happen. That's
All
terrifying.
right, give them a round of applause. Alicia, what do you got there as we get our votes ready?
Well, so the Psycho shower scene, 78 setups, 52 cuts, and there's a great documentary called 7852, which Elijah is actually in. But I just want to read to you what happens next, the next scene after, I think the one that Elijah showed.
Elijah doesn't know.
Subsequently finished the film, by the way.
Okay, so Mother Earth rises from God's body and impregnates herself with his semen before she's later raped by a bunch of wanderers who have already attacked her offspring, the son of Earth, with what looks like an umbilical cord. I never want to see this movie.
It's really great.
Coming soon from Marvel Studios.
All right,
Great, that scares me, that movie.
we're going to do blue for Dan, white for Kevin, hand for Elijah. Blue for Dan, white for... Wow. I mean, that's white again. That's a pretty big
It's
white.
because those
I don't
little
know anyone
girls have the
dispute that?
scariest foreheads in movie
Kevin
history.
gets the point! Yeah, you did. That was a pretty good argument there, Kevin. I would have given that to you
I
as
did
well.
not like that argument at all. I just like to say.
Round 4. Guys, in honor of the 13th anniversary of Elijah's wonderful film, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, right? What a good movie. This was just a fun one we had, loosely based off that. If you could permanently erase one movie from all of existence, which would it be? Dan.
Eternal Sunshine, the first movie I watched with my girlfriend, by the way. So that's very special meaning for us, that movie. So thank you for doing that movie.
So I'm erasing it.
No. My pick was Jaws 2.
What?
Yes. And
I
I'll tell
can't
you why.
wait to fight on this one.
And I will tell you why.
Go ahead. Yeah, Boo is right.
Jaws 2? Really?
Yeah, he wasn't screaming, "Too!" He was saying, "Boo!"
And I'll tell you why. It's not because Jaws 2 is necessarily a terrible movie. There are way worse movies out there than Jaws 2.
Okay.
But
Well, there you go.
That is a fucking life philosophy to live
well,
by,
there you
man.
go.
Well, there you go.
there you go.
Well, that guy's happy.
No, I'll tell you why I picked Jaws 2. In the same way that Jaws pioneered the summer blockbuster,
Yes.
Jaws 2, to me, pioneered the modern methodology as far as studios go of, hey, that did really well, and that was a great movie. Let's do the same thing again, but worse, and then just keep doing it forever. And Jaws 2, succeeding to the degree that it did, is the reason why we got so many of these things, because somebody made a great film, and instead of just putting the camera away, the studio said, let's just remix it, not do it as well. Doesn't make any sense. 2 giant sharks, that makes no sense. The only thing that makes less sense is 3, and the only thing that makes less sense is 4. And the only reason we got 3 and 4 is because you had 2. That's why you blink Jaws 2 out of existence. Maybe we have a few less Transformerses out there and a few less of these terrible blockbusters.
Wow. All right. Elijah, what are you picking?
After that sermon?
Well, there it is.
Jesus! Preach!
But that's all it is. It's a sermon as empty as religion.
Ooh!
We'll get there. Go ahead.
Wow, this is heating up. I chose Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So, most remakes inherently don't justify their existence. There are many exceptions to that, and I think if you're remaking a film, oftentimes it's to make something new or to have a completely new interpretation, some kind of I don't know. You're trying to make something better than what had come before, or at least add something to it. That film did none of that. If anything, it destroyed the book and it destroyed the original film. It contained no magic. The thing about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is, I'm sure all of you have seen and love. It's all about magic. You ultimately don't fully trust Willy Wonka as a character, but you do have some faith that he's leading you in the right direction. There's questionable behavior, but there's still something inherently magical about him. You love him on some level. The version of Willy Wonka in Tim Burton's film is heinous and terrifying and molesty and strange. There's nothing pure or beautiful about it, and they took it. It's a bold move. Like, he very much took it in his own direction, but I think he missed the mark. And it's a terribly disturbing, unhappy film.
Unhappy, Kevin.
Unhappy.
What do you pick? Wow. All right. Now, they're liking these. Kevin, what are you picking?
This was a hard one, and not because I like to keep like a general peace in the world and stuff, but I'm a storyteller, and I know there's no film, no movie that should be blinked out of existence. That's somebody's self-expression about who they are, about where they lived, about what they went through. And so for me, it was really like tough. Of course, there are movies that I've seen that I've not liked. I completely forgot about that one and stuff. So right away, I was like, yeah, that movie kind of blew. But I kind of went deep cuts on this, and also I went beyond the obvious. The question was exactly what again? If you could, I can't see it.
Permanently erase one movie from all of existence, which would it be?
Okay, so the movie I chose is Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will. I know it's not like, woo! Because everyone's like, what the fuck is that movie? But it was the movie that was made at the behest of Adolf Hitler, for Hitler, to glorify the Third Reich. So I'll be honest with you, I chose that because I knew I would win the game on that. Because there's no way someone's gonna not vote against the Nazi movie. So I'll let you guys have at it with your Jaws 2 and your Willy Wonkas, and I'll be here talking about real matters.
Dan, Elijah, would you like to reply?
I came to win, boys. I came to win.
So did I.
Dan, it's a losing proposition.
I'm
You're
gonna
like,
try
well,
to.
here's why Hitler was okay versus Jaws 2.
I'm going to try to thread this needle, Kevin.
Go ahead, do it. I'm going to watch.
Come along
Do
on
it.
this journey with me, if you will.
I will. I'm going to take this journey.
I'm so excited. Let's do this.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, first of all. I'll tell you why I wouldn't blink that out of existence very quickly.
That's the one you got to take out.
Knock that one off.
I'll knock off Charlie the Chocolate Factory. That made people appreciate Gene Wilder more. And anything that makes people appreciate Gene Wilder more, I can't say I would blink out of existence.
Fine. We
So that's
shouldn't
why I
make
wouldn't blink
movies
Charlie
to
the Chocolate
make
Factory out of
fine.
existence.
Now the Hitler movie.
Now the Hitler movie. Hitler was an asshole and he lost. And that's great for humanity and society. Star Wars is amazing. And if you didn't have
Way
Triumph
to
of the
change the
Will,
subject.
if you didn't have Triumph of the Will, Hitler still would have lost, but we wouldn't have had that amazing last scene in Star Wars 4: A New Hope. And that's an incredible scene.
So that scene was worth 6 million
He
lives?
did this, not me! He bought a Nazi movie to a Hollywood fight.
To a Comic-Con.
Don't
To a
you guys...
Comic-Con fight.
don't
He
you
brought a
guys-
Nazi movie to a Comic-Con movie fight. So
But
he
this
puts
is-
the position in
this,
here, not
gentlemen,
me.
bitch all you want, this is completely on brand because this is the ultimate Kobayashi Maru. Figure your way out of this one. The ship's going down and shit.
All right, final thoughts, Elijah? Do you even want to step in this?
I've been struggling with angles. Like it was a propaganda movie. It's not really. It was a movie. It was a movie. There's no way around it. No, you win. You win.
It's
you
a
win.
trap.
I mean, how can I argue that a remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory has got to be erased from? No.
All right.
Can I say that I think that Transformers 4 might be worse than Kevin's pick?
We're running out of time, so I gotta go straight to this vote. Here we go. Blue for Dan, white, that's fitting. White for Kevin, hand for Elijah. Oh, Kevin wins!
I would like to file a formal complaint. That was a travesty.
Well, it was a very effective
Don't hate the
propaganda
player, hate the fucking game, man. Like,
Wow.
I'm just
all right.
playing by the rules.
I'm just glad that round's over. All right. Guys, Dan
I'm
Merle.
glad we screened these so thoroughly
I know,
before we
but
came
he
out.
brought
Andy.
that out in the last
Literally,
minute.
we were walking out of the stage, and Andy's like,
That's why
Elijah,
I
you
share.
picked Charlie, Danny picked Josu. Kevin will just wing it, just whatever he says, just argue against it.
Yeah, I
So
know.
thank you.
Lesson learned. All right, guys. Kevin, Elijah, you're in the speed round. Kevin's up by 2. 3 to Kevin, 1 to Elijah. I have 3 quick speed rounds. This is a lot of these questions came from fans on Twitter. Brought to you by Samsung and their new Chromebook Plus, the first Chromebook made for Google Play. Thank you, Samsung. All right, you guys will have 20 seconds each, and then 10-second rebuttals.
Jesus.
You'll have to answer quickly. The first question here comes from Bradley Brunette. From the Samsung vote online. And this is a fun one. I'm going to give you 2 choices. First one to say it gets it. If you don't, you get the other one. Make sense?
Yes.
Better movie sidekick, Samwise Gamgee or Jay?
Jay. But to be fair, I just say that out loud every 20 minutes, so that wasn't my answer.
All right, so better sidekick, Jay of Jay and Silent Bob or Samwise? So Elijah, you have Samwise. Kevin, you have Jay. Kevin, you went first. Let's hear it.
You're out of this? You're fucking
He's
done?
out.
Wait, don't act like you're sad about it now, Kevin.
All right, ready? 20 seconds when you begin, Kevin.
Who's going first, me?
Yeah, 20 seconds.
Let me tell you something about Jay. He's real. Samwise is a lovely little fictional character. The gayest of the hobbits. And a guy you want on your side if you're in a fake world of little people and wizards. But if you're in the real world, the hard, mean streets of New Jersey, you want somebody who's ride or die, somebody who's got your back no matter what. And Jay, in both movies and in real life, is pretty much my first and only wife. So I speak from experience, not from a guy who's watched movies or read some books. Jay is hands down the best.
All right. Oh, I'm going to give you more time, Elijah. Go ahead.
It's fine. I don't mind. Samwise Gamgee. He's the epitome, the embodiment of unconditional love. What more do you want in a sidekick than someone who will be there for you when you are at your worst? As Frodo is descending into the depths of what's overtaking him in regards to the ring, Samwise doesn't leave his side. I can't think of a better, stronger, more courageous sidekick than that.
All right, you have 10 seconds. Kevin, final 10 seconds. Go.
Samwise was played by Sean Astin, I believe. And I'm sure Sean Astin's a fine friend in real life, but Jay is real.
10 seconds, Elijah.
Don't hear. There ain't no fucking eagles to rescue you now.
But Jay is a representative of Jay in the film, so he's a fictionalized version of Jay in the film, is he not?
No.
No, that is okay.
As friend and filmmaker, I can say no.
Right, no.
5 seconds, go.
Still a representation of great friendship. Either way, representation being from a fictional place or non-fiction place.
All right, there we go. Blue for Kevin, white for Elijah. Alicia, help me here.
I see a lot of whites.
I see a lot of
So
whites.
white, that was Elijah. Elijah gets the point.
That was tough, man. That's Tolkien. He's got a lot of years on me and shit. Jay's just a little weed dealer. Even I should have picked Sam.
All right. It's the 20th anniversary. We had one in honor of Elijah. I want to do one here in honor of Kevin. 20th anniversary of Kevin's Chasing Amy.
That's right.
So, this comes from Jedi Donatello, again from the Samsung poll. Which other franchise would most benefit from the addition of Jay and Silent Bob?
Of all the...
Any franchise in the world, how would you, which franchise?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Don't give up, never surrender.
Dude, if you want to ring, just...
Wait,
win,
never surrender. They told me to like 10 minutes ago.
If you want to win, just say one of them Rings movies.
Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings, oh!
Or the Hobbit better.
Why?
Even better.
You're not in that one?
No.
Did you pick Lord of the Rings? Or Hobbit?
The Hobbit.
Oh, Hobbit. Okay, I'll let you, that's fine. All right, Hobbit versus Guardians. You have 30 seconds, Kevin.
Who's going... And why
Kevin.
Jay and Bob belong in there?
Yeah, why, which franchise would benefit from the addition? Here we go.
Okay, Michael Rooker, huge part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. As spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not in it anymore because his character died. Michael Rooker was in Mallrats, next to Jay and Silent Bob. So they're next in line after Rooker goes away. Plus, it'd be fun to see him in space floating around, touching their balls.
Elijah, why would Jay and Silent Bob benefit being in The Hobbit?
I just think it'd be great when there are so many battles that are happening at the end of the third movie where you cease to understand what the fuck's going on anymore. To have those two fucking guys running commentary and sort of being super fucking confused like we all were as well. Oh my God, that would have helped.
Wow. Playing to win. 10 seconds to Kevin.
I really want to see this version of those movies now. Suddenly looking at them through a whole new prism. What was my argument?
Time's up. 10 seconds, Elijah.
I thought I said my last.
I don't think you need it.
Won.
Right? He got that point, yes. I'm not even doing the vote on that one, Kevin. So we are tied, and this is the last question. This is it for all the marbles, 3-3. Wow, what a fight. Dan, is this crazy?
Oh, yeah.
What you said? No, you're fine. All right, in honor of Comic-Con, this is a
Yes.
broad one, you'll have a second. What classic or iconic movie would inspire, that doesn't already have one, what classic or iconic movie would inspire the best Comic-Con, like its own Comic-Con?
Flash Gordon.
They have those. They have Lord of the Rings ones.
The Dark Crystal.
The Dark Crystal. Oh, he's got nervous there when the crowd went.
I thought I had it in the bag. I'm going to lose to a Muppet movie.
Don't give up. All right, it's all for the marbles here. You're up first, Flash Gordon. Kevin, time starts when you begin speaking.
Flash Gordon, look, man, the influence of this movie is still felt down through the decades. If you've seen the trailer for Thor Ragnarok, it owes its existence to the Flash Gordon movie, man. Flash Gordon is a franchise, been around since it was black and white. But that movie that they did, the goofy, campy one and whatnot, with the Queen, Flash, you could dress up like any one of those characters. You stick your hand in boxes and shit like that. Bald people could be Ming. Yes.
Elijah, 20 seconds. Whenever you're ready.
Can I change my argument? I can't change it. Is it too late?
Yeah, change it. Change that fucking
it.
Muppet movie.
I'm gonna change it. Can I?
If Kevin will allow it.
I'm okay.
James Bond.
Oh, right on. I like that. I like it better because they didn't like it.
We'll see if that was a good move, but Kevin allowed it, so I'll allow it. James Bond, you have 20 seconds.
You've got also decades represented in the context of James Bond. Imagine the cosplay. I mean, obviously there's just James Bond, but Bond girls, the vehicles, the martinis. I don't know, man. I think it would be incredible. I would love the immersive experience of essentially going to a place like this for a weekend and living in the world of James Bond.
All right, 10 seconds. Final 10 seconds. Make them count, Kevin.
Hey, ladies, you want to come to a con where you're going to be objectified? Then come on down to BondCon.
In the recent films.
Elijah, 10 seconds.
Oh, he's got it. He fucking won.
Kevin Smith wins! How amazing was that? Give a round of applause. I'm so impressed with your film knowledge, both of you. You are such wonderful people. Thank you for supporting the show and all the amazing things you guys do. We're such big fans. How about this? How cool! Thank you guys. I love you both for doing this. Dan Merle, bravo! Good job, sir. Alicia Malone, I love you too. Fantastic job. Thank you for helping.
That was so much fun. Congrats, guys. They were great.
And thank you all for watching. This has been Movie Fights live from Screen Junkie Central, San Diego. And guess what, Kevin? You won the Central Cup!
Oh, yay!
Wow! Bravo, sir, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next year here at Central!
Bye.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, the new Samsung Chromebook Plus, for sponsoring today's episode.